Good morning, Dopey. Your favorite podcast, now able to show.
Good morning, Dopey, and welcome to Good Morning, Dopey, our deep yet sometimes shallow dive into the world of the daily reflections. My name is Dave, and I'm feeling clean and serene on the beach of Corey Beach. And look at that guy. He's feeling very serene.
Chilling.
He's feeling very serene. And I'm joined by my friend Evan.
What's up, Dopey Nation?
You want to talk tranquilly like I am?
Yeah, you gotta talk nice and easy, nice and calming.
Look at the bay, Dopey Nation.
Now it's a guided meditation.
The lapping waters, lapping the shore. Look at the sun and the sky and the palm trees.
This is the place they talk about in the guided meditations. They say, go to the beach.
It's a lot like, I remember like sometimes when they do the guided meditations and I feel straight up like I'm in rehab. Like that's how I feel.
Absolutely. I remember when I was in rehab, they had this woman, Layla, and she's like famous in this rehab, out on Long Island.
What does she do?
She's like the meditation counselor, and she's like unreal, and uses the bell, it hits the bell before, and her voice is just so calming and soothing, and like everyone, and there would only be a certain amount of spots, and like good junkies, like everyone would leave the previous group early and go line up outside, because the separate building, the meditation building is outside, and they would line up outside before the group would even end to like try to get a spot in this meditation, because they could only have like 8 people in there or some shit.
To cop a little of Layla's
vibe, exactly.
That's nice. And then just so we're up front here, we're at the beach meeting, and Evan was supposed to call me this morning to do the daily reflections, and I don't know if he resented me because I put off doing the Dopey episode for so long. Maybe he was tired. Evan, what's the truth?
So the truth is, I woke up at 6:30, and I wanted to chill and have my coffee. I didn't feel like coming early.
And that was what you were thinking? Were you thinking, was any part of your mind saying, fuck Dave?
Not at all.
That didn't come into
That didn't come.
So you kind of forgot.
No, I didn't forget. I just wanted to chill and have coffee, then just take my time and relax. I didn't feel like getting there early.
See, yesterday I did the next right thing, and I took the time to phone my friend Evan to let him know that the garage sale was happening, and we couldn't do his episode, which I've put off doing for probably months.
So I'm still sick, man.
We all are. It's all right. Anyway, so we get
I have to make amends to you now. I apologize.
Listen,
that was irresponsible of me.
No, you doing this time on Good Morning Dopey is a living amend.
That's true.
And we're having such a good time, and I think we're kicking the spirituality.
I love it.
Which is nice. And so we get to the meeting, and I'm sitting, the meeting's over there, right? And I sat under the gazebo, and Evan is in his tank top, sunning himself.
That's it. You got to get the tan on,
And what the fuck? And
Dave came up and yelled at me.
I did.
He yelled at me.
I chastised
Said, you
him.
were supposed to text me this morning, you piece of shit. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that.
But I did say, what the fuck? What happened? So then I was like, do you want to go over there to the bar and do some daily reflections? And he was like, again? We've been doing that all week. And I was like, let's go. So
here we are. Here we are.
So what day is today? The 25th?
I'm losing track. 24th.
24th.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
All right. June 24th, a spiritual kindergarten.
Nice. I loved kindergarten. Did you enjoy kindergarten?
No, because I had separation anxiety with my parents, and
That's nice.
Which makes sense, like at this point in my life.
But I had gone to school for 2 years before I was in kindergarten.
You went to preschool? You talking about that?
I went to preschool, then I went to pre-K in the same school that I graduated high school from. I did pre-K in.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. That's some city shit, right?
No, it's just some shit. Anyway,
So yeah, I hated kindergarten because I didn't hate it, but like in preschool, like I was always like crying, like I didn't want to be
sensitive.
there. Yeah, very sensitive, which makes sense. That's a character thing for most addicts and alcoholics, right? So kindergarten was all right, a little better, but it was still like I wanted to.
I think I might have peaked in kindergarten.
Yeah.
I think that was like when I was best. All right, so spiritual kindergarten.
Spiritual kindergarten. We are only operating a spiritual kindergarten in which
hold on, I'm going to interrupt you. I went to my 30th year reunion, right?
Right.
And so I'm with some, about 20 of the people there had gone to preschool with me and kindergarten with me. And there's a woman Her name is Emma, and she was a vegetarian in kindergarten. And I remember I used
In
to...
kindergarten, she was a vegetarian?
Yeah, she's from a hippie family or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
And I would taunt her with cucumbers.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And she would bite them out of my hand. And I always would talk about this, in high school. I would say that to her. And she said to me, she was, you were really cute in kindergarten.
Oh.
And someone said, well, he looks exactly the same. And she said, no. He was way cuter then. Which I thought was funny. Anyway, please.
See, people did that to me, except with donuts.
Right.
Because I was a fat little kid, so
that's hard to imagine.
I'm serious, man. It was bad. It was definitely a thing. We'll get to that when
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we are only operating on a spiritual kindergarten in which people are enabled to get over drinking and find the grace to go on living to a better effect, as Bill sees it, page 95. When I came to AA, I was run down by the bottle and wanted to lose the obsession to drink, but I didn't really know how to do that. I decided to stick around long enough to find out from the ones who went before me. All of a sudden, I was thinking about God. I was told to get a higher power, and I had no idea what one looked like. I found out there are many higher powers. I was told to find God as I understand him, that there was no doctrine of the Godhead in AA. I found what worked for me and then asked that power to restore me to sanity. The obsession to drink was removed, and one day at a time, my life went on, and I learned how to live sober.
Nice.
It's a good one.
I was talking with one of my sponsees. Like, my sponsor is really God-centered. You know what I mean? Like, his whole thing is just God. And it's hard for me to be as God-centered in sponsoring. But I know it's necessary. But I'm not 100% there. And I know one of my sponsees is very God-oriented, and he helps me out with God.
Mm-hmm.
But then another one isn't as spiritual, and I need to try to foster spirituality, because spirituality, it's a spiritual program. It's a solution.
I think you're similar to me in this sense. Is you grew up Jewish. I grew up kind of Jewish. I am Jewish, but we weren't really that into it. But I had no conception of a God. So I think for me, it still kind of feels uncomfortable to even push that word,
right?
Onto another person. It's just not a comfortable. I say it, but it almost sounds to me, it feels like I'm forcing myself to say it.
I believe it, and I believe it in this that we did a daily reflection the other day, a couple maybe last week, where it was the greatest daily reflection I've ever read, and it was just about God, this all-inclusive, non-exclusive, broad and roomy higher power. And my dad straight up thinks that people who believe in God are idiots.
That's what I used to think, though. Yeah. That's what I used to think.
And I didn't have a fucking care about it. What I know that when I started to take drugs, and I there isn't a situation that I don't look at psychedelically. I look at the bay and all I see is psychedelic. And for me, I might have told this story before. When I was in 1995, I was 21, and I had an internship at the International Center of Photography on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And I actually hooked up with my boss. It was great. That's not the point story. But I would walk home. I would walk home from the Upper East Side to Chelsea every day.
Okay.
And I'd walk through the park, and there was this black lady in the park named Siharaki, and she wore a headpiece, and she sold spiritual texts in the Meadow, in Sheep's Meadow in Manhattan.
Okay.
And I was taking a lot of acid at that time, and I would always talk to her. And I would say, well, what's your denomination? And she would say, I'm a universal spiritualist in love. And I was like, wow, that sounds good.
I like that.
And I was like, I want that. And I took acid and I smoked weed with that highfalutin idea in my head that I wanted to be connected without God, without knowing that could be God. You know?
Right.
So when I got to AA and my first sponsor that I really loved said, what's your God? And I said, I don't really know. I think it's the universe. I think it's everything. He said, well, do you have a gift of desperation? And I was really desperate. I was like, yes. But I remember I was on the beach and I heard God is everything or God is nothing so many times. But what I heard was either you got it or you don't. Either you know or you're a fucking idiot. It's like a snarky God is everything or you are nothing kind of thing. But then one day on the beach, I realized God is everything, meaning everything. Like you, me, the beach, the ocean, the sky, the universe, the galaxy, every cell is God. And I was like, that's my conception of God.
Absolutely. I love that idea of that, you know, and I have a pretty similar, you know, conception of what God is, you know, and it took for me really to confirm my belief in a higher power, some sort of, you know, something out there is when I took anatomy and physiology, the class, and seeing how the intricacies of the body work together, you know, like these feedback systems. If this happens, like, how does that just happen? There's no way that this just happened, you know.
How do we have teeth in our mouth to
That's
chew?
what I'm saying, you know, like little stuff like that.
Flowers and bees and shit.
And that confirmed it for me that, like, all right, like, there's something, I don't know exactly what it is, and I don't need to know exactly what it is. All I know is that there's something out there that's guided my every move up until this point, that's kept me alive, and that is in every one of us, you know, and in everything around us.
The thing that twists it up is when fundamentalist religious groups, they stand on the shoulders of this beautiful thing that connects all of us, and then they say, wait, but God also thinks these guys are fucking assholes, and they think you suck, and all these other things that they kind of like. It's like when Congress adds something to a bill. Like a bill is like designed to make sure like inner city people can vote, but then they add some fucking thing that ruins the bill. And the bill doesn't pass. And these fundamentalist religion people, whatever, that doesn't make sense. Fanatical people
I know what you meant.
who use God to keep people apart, kind of ruin God for me. And they ruined it for my dad.
For people like us, yes. You
and
know?
for the world.
But you know what? It works. Whatever works, as long as you're not, you know, doing that shit. You know, it's like kind of.
Nobody's getting hurt.
Yeah. Or you're forcing, you know, what you believe, or you have to believe this, or, you know, you're not gonna get sober, because I feel like that's almost dangerous, you know, in a way.
Right. So the question is, why? And I'll ask you, why is God so important to recovery?
I think God is so important to recovery just for the simple fact of, like, you know, for me, it's like doing things my way, and with my, like, I don't have the power to stop using or drinking. If I did, I would have done it a long time ago. You know, like, I knew exactly what was going to happen when I used. I knew I didn't want to use, and I used anyway. So I need something bigger than myself, whatever that may be.
This is very important, I think. Is that really true? Like, do you really believe that when you stopped, it wasn't you? Like, I mean, like, what role, like people say that all the time, I can't take credit for my recovery. Like, I kind of can, a little bit, you know?
I mean, you play a role in it. It's like that old saying is like, yeah, like, you know, God can move mountains, but you better bring a shovel. Like, you did have to take some action, but to be guided into the idea of taking that action, was it just desperation? But how did you get to that desperation? Was it something that led you into that desperation to make that realization that you now needed to?
Right, and I still,
you know
I still like superimpose that weird beard guy in heaven onto your talk, and I like, that's why God is so difficult, because we have so many conceptions of what that is. And like, back to your story. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, but it's just I don't even remember where I was going with
You were saying how you weren't necessarily you were saying how you couldn't quit using and drinking, and that God helped you do it.
I think something helped me to lead me down a certain path to the situation where it was time for me to either, you know, do it or not. And I had to still make the decision to do it. But I think the events that played out were of the universe or whatever higher power is out there. You know what I'm saying?
It's so hard to really make sense of it. And if God, like I heard somebody else at our meeting say, you know, that God is in all of us. Like, so when you get to that place, it's God in you, but it's also you in you. It becomes very difficult, but I
it's very
know
convoluted.
It is, but I know that I ask the universe for help on a daily basis to keep me on the right path, to help me do the next right thing, to stay on God's path, because my path was always fucked.
Exactly.
So I don't know. This is good.
Whether
it's difficult,
whether
though, right?
it's something that's, you know, real or not real, you know, I feel like
it's the same thing.
I feel happier acting as if it's real and believing that it's real than when I was not. And that's the bottom line for me. So I'm going to stick to what's making me happier. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's real or not.
Not to mention, but it's reality is all of this. You know, like reality is everything. And like when you superimpose some sort of weird super intelligence on top of it, it becomes weird. But this is all still here, and you can make your prayer to all of this, and it's the same thing. But it gets convoluted.
Absolutely.
It gets confusing. I don't know if this is helpful today. This weird God talk by two Jews at a bar. But there you go.
Sounds like a practical joke or something. I don't know.
Either way, stay strong, Dopey Nation, and thank you, Evan.
Absolutely.
And fucking toodles for Chris.
Peace out, Dopey Nation.
You guys should show the peace sign though.
Peace.
Peace in the Middle East. That's what the old 80s rappers, they go.
You can tell you're older because you go this way and I go this way.
Yeah, well, that's not the only reason you can tell I'm older.
Dopey, I'm face down on the floor. Dopey, please sir, can I have some more? Dopey,